Я уже не могу. Я такие столько перестрадали. Только мы страдали.
Moscow reserves the right to retaliate after Kiev violates a partial ceasefire by destroying a gas metering station in Russia's Kursk region. We report exclusively from the recently liberated area that was ravaged by Ukrainian troops. Also ahead. One of Yemen's international airports is reportedly hit by ongoing U.S. airstrikes as the Pentagon conducts its biggest military operation in the Middle East since Donald Trump took office. Plus,
the reason why people are here is because they say that they are trying to stand in the way of what they think is a threat to democracy. They want to see new political figures. They want to see new faces.
Turkiye's worst unrest in nearly a decade sees hundreds arrested in riots over the legal case against the mayor of Istanbul, who wants to challenge Recep Tayyip Erdogan for the presidency. Our top story, Moscow has warned Kiev of potential retaliation. That's after Ukrainian forces violated the US-brokered partial ceasefire. They destroyed a gas metering station in Russia's Kursk region that had previously been used to pump fuel to Europe. Here's the response from the Foreign Ministry in Moscow.
Despite the agreement initiated by the U.S. to refrain from striking energy infrastructure, which Kiev seemingly officially supported, the treacherous attacks by the neo-Nazi regime on Russian territory continue. It is evident that such actions by Kiev once again demonstrate a complete lack of negotiation capability and an absence of desire for peace. Like in 2022, provocations are being employed once more to derail the negotiation process. We clearly warn that if the Kiev regime continues its destructive course, the Russian side reserves the right to respond, including with symmetrical measures.
Well, let's go live now to our senior correspondent, Murad Gazdiev, who's inside Russia's embattled Kursk region. Murad, good morning to you. Just take us through the latest developments in the wake of Kiev's violation of that US-mediated partial ceasefire, which Russia is so far sticking to.
Well, ever since the agreement between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, their phone call that lasted about 2 hours on Tuesday, where they agreed that Russia and Ukraine, in a separate phone call between Donald Trump and Zelensky, that both states would end strikes on energy infrastructure. That was the agreement. It was made immediately to the point that Vladimir Putin, within minutes of ending the phone call with Donald Trump, ordered Russian air defenses to shoot down Russian drones that were heading for Ukraine, heading for energy infrastructure sites, presumably those energy infrastructure sites, for example, power plants, high voltage lines that feed the Ukrainian war effort, the Ukrainian war machine. The agreement was made. Vladimir Putin ended those strikes. Yet, from the Ukrainian side, we saw over the next several days, on the 19th, for example, a strike at an oil storage facility in Russia, whereby one of the canisters full of oil was targeted and went exploded. The fire lasted for several days. It burned high and mighty. Hundreds of firefighters battling that blaze. Several days later, despite Russian protests, the Ukrainians blew up a pipeline, the land pipeline that fed Russian natural gas to Europe, in the order of 50 million cubic meters of gas daily. The pipe had been inactive since the 1st of January this year. The Ukrainians decided to end all transit through that pipeline, despite protests from Eastern European nations, members of the European Union, that depended on this gas for their industry, for their households to heat themselves in the winter. This is cheap Russian natural gas as much as 4 times cheaper than American liquefied natural gas, which for many is the only alternative. And the logic is Russia believes that Ukraine is merely attempting to sabotage, to derail any peace effort, any potential ceasefire that could have taken place in Ukraine, that they're trying to discredit the agreements between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, and to keep this war going as Zelensky and his European sponsors have wanted to do all along. They have made no secret about this, even as Donald Trump floated his idea for a ceasefire. It has come to the point where, as you mentioned, Russia's embattled Kursk region, it is no longer so much embattled. Ukraine holds less than 100 square kilometers along the border. That is down from about 1,500 square kilometers that it held just several months ago. Russia has been advancing there. Ukraine has faced catastrophic defeat, tens of thousands dead, as many surrounded, wounded, running, abandoning their weapons and everything else that they brought along, precious war material that they brought along for the Kursk incursion. We were first to get to the west of Sudzha. We were first to see firsthand the wanton destruction there and the breadth of the catastrophe faced by Ukraine's retreat. The Second Battle of Kursk seems an apt name. The same roads and fields once littered with the burned husks of Nazi armor are now littered with NATO-made wrecks, outnumbered only by the bodies of Ukrainian troops. On and on it goes. An M1A2 American-supplied Abrams tank lies burned, destroyed at the gate of Sudzha. That's been a long walk, along with dozens, perhaps hundreds of destroyed Ukrainian vehicles. But this is Sudzha, finally retaken by Russia. We are the first journalists to have come this far. This is northwest Sudzha. Ukrainian troops, or what's left of them, are barely a kilometer away. Ukrainian artillery is ceaseless.
Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте, мои золотые. Все, берите. Спасибо. Давай,
The suburb of Zalyoshinka was captured by barely a company belonging to the veteran volunteer corps.
When we started out, there was so much incoming fire, but nobody panicked. Even when one of us was lightly wounded, we'd bandage ourselves and head on. Almost all of us have light wounds. 75% of us still have small pieces of shrapnel inside.
Nick and his unit were among the first out of a 15-kilometer underground tunnel used by Russian forces to surprise Ukrainian occupation troops in Sudzha.
Hi, I'm...
Is a tight-knit company, which includes a female sniper, also lightly wounded. She's been fighting for a week.
Почему это самые лучшие 80-х и летные части ВСУ бегут?
Потому что они трусы.
Because they're cowards. I don't consider them warriors. They can't put up a proper fight. When they realized that they had nothing going for them, that we were encircling them, and that we had pushed into their rear, they broke and ran.
They were in panic. They weren't expecting us. The best they could do was run.
The damage being wrought on Sudzha by Ukrainian artillery is devastating. Filled with bitterness at defeat and humiliation, but the damage wrought on the people of Sudzha is far, far worse. They come to us.
Это еще одна ночь страшная будет. Это вообще ужас. Пожалуйста, чтобы завтра забрали. Я уже не могу. Я столько перестрадали. Только мы страдали.
We can't help her. The bridges are blown, and it is many difficult kilometers to safety. She can barely walk, let alone run for cover. To come with us now would see her and us die. The Ukrainians will make sure of that.
А вам не разрешали выехать потом?
Нет.
Они запретили вам выезжать?
Да, украинцы нас никуда не выпускали. Я жду, чтобы увидеть своих детей и внуков. Я хочу похоронить своего мужа, вы понимаете? Я с мужем прожила 34 года.
Her husband lies buried under their destroyed house. For the better part of a year, they have kept the civilians of Suja as human shields. They took their phones. Bodies of executed civilians are being found all over Suja. The locals were left to bury their loved ones as best they could. This is the symbol of Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region. A supermarket situated on the road from Ukraine to Suja turned into a monument by hordes of passing Ukrainian troops and even politicians, replete with curses, threats and names. Most of the Ukrainian soldiers who left their mark here are now dead. And soon, even this mention of them will be painted over. Morad Gazdiev, RT, from Suja, Kursk region.
To the Middle East now, where American airstrikes have reportedly hit Yemen's Hodeidah International Airport. The Pentagon has released new footage of its warplanes launching from carriers against Houthi military sites. Multiple targets in the Arab country were struck overnight. The campaign was ordered a week ago by US President Trump. He's urged Iran to withdraw its support for the Yemeni group, which he threatened would be completely annihilated. Tehran, however, claims it has no sway over the Houthis. Earlier this week, the Houthis said they conducted an attack on US warships in the Red Sea in retaliation for the American bombardment of the Yemeni capital Sana'a on Tuesday. That US attack reportedly targeted civilian buildings in the city, killing at least 9 people, including 2 children, and leaving many more wounded. The Houthi leader has vowed defiance and retaliation for Washington's actions.
American aggression will not achieve its goals of destroying our country's military capabilities. We have been going through resisting American aggression for many years. This is just another stage in a series of attacks from the United States. As in previous times, this new wave of aggression will only contribute to the further development of our military capabilities. We will respond to escalation with escalation. This is our course of action.
Sana confirms that the American airstrikes will not change its position in support of Gaza and will not affect the decision to ban Israeli shipping in Bab al-Mandeb. It accuses Washington of threatening international shipping in the Red Sea in the interests of Israel.
The threat to international peace comes from the USA, Israel, Great Britain, and Western countries, states of hegemony and aggression. We are witnesses to the events and crimes committed by them in Palestine, Gaza, Lebanon, and Yemen. No one was active and stood up for these peoples. Therefore, our position, our policy, and our will is to support the Palestinian people.
Sana has confirmed its right to respond to any attack directed against Yemeni territory. The Yemeni position remains unchanged in support of Gaza. Sana'a threatens the United States with a decisive response, calling its struggle just.
Former Pentagon senior security analyst Michael Malouf told us the US attacks on Yemen are putting innocent lives in the line of fire.
Under Trump, we see a different approach. It's much more assertive, much more aggressive, and it's really ultimately meant to send a message to Iran. And whether or not Iran is actually providing assistance to the Yemenis is open to question, because the Yemenis have an indigenous capability to make their own missiles. And so I guess it's meant to basically hold Yemen hostage to Iran, and in a way that is really terrible. They're hitting civilian targets, and it's continuing to. And there's no evidence to show that what they're hitting are clearly military targets. They're hitting predominantly civilian areas, and we see a lot of civilian casualties as a consequence.
Turkish prosecutors have requested the formal arrest of Istanbul's mayor on alleged corruption and terrorism charges. The opposition figure's detention on Wednesday sparked unrest in the city. Istanbul police held over 300 people after they took to the streets despite a ban on such gatherings. It's the largest turmoil in the country in nearly a decade.
There are a great deal of resentment. There's a great deal of opposition towards the current president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And it's not necessarily so much about the politics. It's not about Ekrem İmamoğlu's detention or even the prospects of him being arrested and sent to prison. It's beyond that. The prospects of a free country is the sentiment that is shared amongst everybody here. We've witnessed different political leaders, former political leaders across the country that have voiced their opinion, and they say that they stand strong with the people here. Emotions are running high, as much as the pepper spray behind me, and there's of course a different atmosphere in front of the town hall in Istanbul. I'm going to briefly turn around and show you the municipality building behind me. There is a bus, a stand, essentially a stage where the political leaders, the former political leaders, took stage to essentially issue their opposition to the decision to arrest or detain Ekrem İmamoğlu. And not too far away, in the not too far distance, is of course the first line of police security forces, the barricades that they've essentially established to prevent protesters from moving and marching down towards Taksim Square. Taksim Square essentially is significant because it has a deep sentiment and importance and significance among the people here, because in 2013 Gezi Park in Taksim was of course the epitome of opposition protests. Not even comparatively speaking, there have been no protests, no mass gatherings, they've all been banned, but they are still here despite a ban that was implemented by the Istanbul governor spanning 4 days. This is day 4 of the protests. You can see protesters are using barricades and all sorts of other materials to to use as some sort of a safety mechanism between them and the police. We've listened to a number of different witness testimonies.
We just protecting our country, actually. Freedom, democracy, for everything. I'm 26, I'm 28 years old, and I didn't see anything else because of the Tayyip Erdogan, you know? So we just standing up here for our democracy, our freedom, and our future. That's all. We want our future, we want our life, we want our country. Democracy!
I am here now for democracy. We war for democracy. We hate this governmentship, and we war for our future.
They're just trying to block the people who wants to just turn to back home. You know, it's an attack for the democracy of the Turkey. You know, but we are here. We are here for the defend the Turkey. I'm a Turkish young boy, and Mustafa Kemal'in askerleriyiz. Mustafa Kemal'in askerleriyiz. Mustafa, thank you very much.
Well, as you can see, the emotions are running high for a number of different reasons. Many of the people here, again, from different political and ideological backgrounds, the main sentiment here, naturally, is, of course, to stand for something different, something new. As I mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily about protecting or supporting Ekrem İmamoğlu. It's not necessarily about protecting or supporting the main opposition party. The reason why people are here is because they say that they are trying to stand in the way of what they think is a threat to democracy. They want to see new political figures. They want to see new faces. And among many of them, there are some core values. And one of them, naturally, is secularism. That's not to say everyone here stands by that same argument. But the one thing that we can say is, for the first time in more than a decade, the youth have taken to the streets, and we're witnessing something that is significant, monumental, and perhaps a milestone in Turkish history.